How well does leather last? That's a question that was asked to me in my previous video where I explained how to make a small drawstring leather pouch such as that one. And guys, this is Fernando doing another video for Modern Survivalist. I thought I'd talk a little bit about leather and actually show some of the various items I have in my office that are made of leather, some of them with a few years of service on them. So let's get to it. First of all, the thing to keep in mind is that not all leather is the same. Not all leather is the same quality. Not all the tanning processes are the same. I'm not a leather expert by any means, but I do have a basic understanding of what's quality leather and what's not. This would be a good example actually. These two pieces of leather basically coming from the same skin, they are not of the same quality. They come from different parts of the animal. This one is a little bit more rigid, a little bit stronger in spite of being almost the same thickness, but you see how this is better quality, stronger, and you see how it will last longer. In this case it's a little bit more floppy. It feels more brittle, a way of describing it maybe. So you have, even within the same piece, you have different qualities depending on the part of the animal where it comes from. The tanning process is also important. Some of the cheaper tanning processes will leave a bluish, baby blue color on the sides. Sometimes manufacturers hide that by painting on the sides, but when you cut through it, you will find that baby blue color on the inside. That's not the case here. This is good leather in spite of the difference I'm mentioning, but when you cut it, you don't see any different color on the inside. It all looks the same brown, which is good. How long will the pouch that I made last? Knowing the quality of leather, pretty good leather that I used, knowing the stitching because I did it myself, and the material I use for the stitches, quality, strong nylon, that pouch is going to be outlasting me, no doubt. It's going to be around when I'm not anymore. So I hope that basically answers your question. So let's go through some of the things here in the office and see how leather in general seems to hold. The table here with the top this is leather, made of leather. That table, I got it used. Very cheap actually. It was this hotel, they closed down in London, and they were selling the tables by bulk, and this guy had a warehouse with like 20 tables. I just picked the one that looked nicer for like 20 bucks or something like that. So that was a pretty good deal. Yeah, you know what, at least 40 years old for sure, maybe 50 years old. That's a number. Yeah, at least 40 years old, no doubt. That's something I could say right away. You have some obvious markings of wear, but I'm sure, I mean, being in a hotel, I'm sure it wasn't taken care of a lot, just a minimum type of care. But again, when leather is basically taken care of a little bit, when you don't leave it in contact with liquids, humidity for very long, and you just use a restoring wax or something like that so as to keep it supple and avoiding the dry rot that sometimes happens, it will hold on very, very well. Leather is a great material. Not used a lot because it, how this is, it does get expensive, but it's a good material. Here I have a couple holsters that I bought in Argentina before leaving. These are holsters from the Buenos Aires police. These were called La Chancha, the pig. These are made for 45 pistols for 1911s and Ballester Molinas, and a couple of 7-round magazines to behold there on the outside. Very cool item. Got this from a surplus store for around 10 pesos. Today about $1 each. So yeah, that wasn't exactly expensive. And you have some of the names of the different police officers that used these. So how old is this? 50s would be at least. At least 60 years old. At least 60 years old. Man, time goes by. And it has been in service for decades, no doubt. And I doubt it has been taken care of a lot. I'm sure it wasn't babied in any way. Just good, honest use for a long, long time. Lots of police officers using this item. I will say, though, that it's quality construction. The leather is pretty thick and of good quality. The stitching is good as well. Nice thick stitches, well made. Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least 50 years old. This other one maybe has, no. So these, in spite of that, look at the straps. The straps would be some of the places where you see the most wear. But here, it's pretty much okay. What about the sofas? These are not exactly old, but a few decades on them, no doubt, and holding on well. I got these from bought it used from a family with small children that were jumping on it when I went over there to buy it, and you know, in spite of a few marks and scuffles here and there, still holding on nicely. The leather couches, you're sitting on them, of course, and that there's the edges where you have a little bit more wear and such, but in general, holding on pretty well. Briefcase from Saddleback Leather, very high quality item, expensive. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying one of these days, but you know what? It's a very high quality. Sometimes you get what you pay, and in this case, it's a fantastic briefcase. Top of the line construction and materials used. The stitching is great. The quality of leather, very thick, strong quality. Another tip in terms of leather: when you find jackets, briefcases, and they use bigger pieces of leather, that means quality. Cheaper jackets, briefcases, and bags and such will use smaller pieces of leather that they buy cheaper, of course, and they stitch those together. Here you obviously see that's not the case. This is, for example, a big piece of leather that goes all the way through on the inside and comes down there, so it's a larger piece. In a cheaper bag, for example, you would see maybe this piece, instead of being one single piece, being split together, right? Two pieces together. Maybe not this one, but for sure this one would. The larger one that goes all the way through there, it comes all the way. It wouldn't be that way. It would just be a flap, sewed, and then another one, not like this. Very high quality, good stuff. They use a nylon strap even on the inside to make it extra strong. And of course these rivets, I mean, this strap is indestructible, same as the other straps used in the bag. What else? Here a couple of, one item at least that shows what kind of, this is an oil bottle from my Enfield rifle. I don't have the rifle, it stayed in Argentina, but I did bring the oil bottle as a memento, so as to put it some way. The old Enfield bottle. How old is this? Man, you probably know that better than I do. It's a Enfield rifle, 70 years old, maybe, could be. And this is leather. This O-ring here is leather. It's not as as in good condition as in the first couple of decades for sure, but it's still holding on nicely. I mean, keep in mind this is in contact with it had been in contact with oil for decades, most of its life, and it's probably still soaked in gun oil. So even, and you scratch on it and it's not falling apart, which I would expect to some degree, but holding on nicely, leather. Let's leave that there. How about these boleadoras that I've showed in previous videos? Hard to say, but 50 years old for sure. That wouldn't be too crazy. And this is rawhide leather, rock hard, very hard. Once it dried up, it becomes like a rock, like the rock on the inside, and still pretty much functional. I'm not using these, of course, but the leather is not rotting or anything, still holding on quite nicely. Leather used in knife sheaths. We have a Kukri from Nepal. This is new, but in fact the guys in Nepal, they use a leather, I think it's yak leather, for their Kukri sheaths, and no complaints there. This is a little bit of a lower quality kind of construction, but I'm not planning on abusing this or anything. Again, not the best quality of construction, but leather used properly in sheaths will hold on a lot. Facon from Argentina, leather, if taken care of, should last for decades, even centuries. So yeah, sometimes when you find these old knives or swords buried and the only thing left is like the pieces of metal and the leather rotted, that's because it was buried for 100 years or more. So it's understandable that the leather rots and degrades in those conditions. But basically taking care of it, you shouldn't have that kind of problems. And leather here in this Facon sheath as well, not expecting it to fall apart anytime soon. Leather used in this knife as well, a very old knife. And the sheath, look at the pitting on this knife. Man, I mean, this blade is old, and so is the sheath. And you know what? There's really nothing else. This is just leather stitched together to form the sheath. You have this flap that is for keeping the knife in place in your belt. And it's just leather and stitches, not even a rivet, not even much of a reinforcement, just good old leather, and basically a knife that has been seen honest use for quite some time, but not abused beyond what's logical, right? I'm sure this knife got wet many times. I'm sure this knife got sent into the sheath soaking with grease or something like that, or blood, and is still holding on okay. Honest use and then some. But leather is a quality material, right, guys? On the other hand, we have this IKEA chair made of synthetic leather, already showing, pretty disappointing. And it's one of the newest things in my office. It's one of the few things I bought brand new, and it's still falling apart. The desk. Yeah, here you have leather as well. This would be a newer desk. I got it used as well, but it's obviously newer. It's not as old as some of the other stuff that we've been talking about. But basically, that's it, guys. A little bit of show and tell of some of the stuff in my office that is made of leather, quite old, and still holding on pretty nicely, folks. Hey, happy Father's Day for all of you guys. Dad, I love you, so happy Father's Day to you too. And remember to subscribe. Have a great day. See you on our next video.